Marcus sat at the corner booth of the expensive steakhouse, watching his friends toast to another empty promotion. The bill arrived, $600 for a single dinner. As they tossed their heavy metal cards onto the silver tray like poker chips, Marcus smiled, slid his card in, and realized something terrifying. He had more money in his broad market index funds than all of them combined. Yet they treated him like the poor friend, because he drove a 10-year-old hatchback. They had no idea that while they were celebrating the very promotions keeping them trapped in the status game, Marcus was planning his quiet escape. He was 6 weeks away from walking away from his career, having built enough of a financial runway to finally choose how he spent his days. To understand how Marcus got here, you have to look at his life 3 years earlier. It was a rainy Tuesday evening, and Marcus was sitting in his car in the parking lot of a high-end grocery store, gripping the steering wheel. The dashboard clock read 7:45 p.m. His phone was buzzing endlessly with messages from his group chat, planning a weekend trip to a boutique mountain cabin. Cost $800 per person, just for the lodging. Marcus checked his banking app. His balance was $2,400, but his rent of $1,800 was due in 3 days. He felt a familiar cold knot tighten in his stomach. This was the trap of the modern mid-career professional. He was earning $68,000 a year, more than his parents ever made at his age, yet he felt hopelessly broke. Every raise was immediately swallowed by a larger apartment and the unspoken tax of keeping up with a social circle that measured self-worth by the label on their coffee cup. The breaking point didn't happen all at once. It came in waves. It started when he got the promotion he had spent 18 months killing himself for. His salary bumped to $82,000. For 48 hours, he felt rich. Then, the silent scripts of his lifestyle kicked in. He convinced himself he needed a reliable car to match his new managerial title, signing a lease on a sleek, midnight blue sedan for $450 a month. Next came a pricier one-bedroom apartment closer to the city center. He told himself it was an investment in his mental health. It was a lie. Within 4 months, his savings rate had plummeted to absolute zero. Then, the social stakes escalated. His best friend, Ryan, announced a bachelor party in Miami. Marcus couldn't say no without exposing his financial reality. He swiped his credit card for the flight, the Airbnb, and the bottle service. $2,600, gone in 72 hours. The physical toll began to show. During a quarterly performance review, his boss, a man who looked 10 years older than he actually was, looked at Marcus and said, "You look tired, Marcus, but that's the price of admission if you want to make partner." Marcus looked at his boss's bloodshot eyes and realized he was looking at his own future. The ultimate humiliation came one morning when that sleek leased sedan made a grinding noise. A faulty transmission. The repair bill was $1,200. With zero savings and maxed-out credit cards from Miami, Marcus had to do the one thing he swore he would never do: call his father and ask for a loan. The silence on the other end of the line was deafening. He had the title, the car, the apartment, and yet he was begging his retired parents for help. He realized he wasn't building a career. He was renting an illusion. He knew he didn't just need a better budget. He needed to break the system. The shift happened when Marcus started viewing his finances through the energy exchange rate. He realized money was just a physical representation of life energy. When he calculated his true hourly wage, subtracting his commute, dry cleaning, and expensive stress takeout, he wasn't making $30 an hour. He was making $12. Suddenly, picking up a $300 designer jacket at a store felt different. It wasn't just $300, it was 25 hours of sitting under buzzing office lights, enduring his boss, just to wear a piece of fabric. When he visualized those 25 lost hours, he put the jacket back on the rack. He initiated a radical strategy he called ego decoupling. He kept his daily coffee, but aggressively stripped away expenses tied to social status. First, he broke his car lease. He paid a brutal $2,000 penalty, using the last of his cash, a move his friends called financial suicide. He bought a reliable, faded silver sedan with a dent on the passenger door. Accepting that painful one-time hit instantly freed up $600 a month in payments and premium insurance. Next, he deployed the 72-hour damage test for all purchases over $50. Instead of just waiting to buy something, he would write down the item and force himself to visualize it completely ruined, scratched, or lost. If he still wanted it, after 3 days of imagining its decay, he bought it. 90% of the time, the desire vanished. But his most powerful weapon was the automated wealth valve. Marcus knew willpower was useless against consumer psychology. So, he set his payroll system to automatically divert 40% of his paycheck into a brokerage account before it ever touched his checking account. Because he never saw the money, his brain never registered it as available. While his friends were signing massive mortgages for suburban homes and leasing luxury SUVs to impress neighbors they didn't like, Marcus's wealth valve was silently pumping thousands of dollars into compounding assets. His cost of living dropped, but his quality of life skyrocketed. He finally had time to sleep, run, and breathe. At a backyard barbecue, Ryan, who had just bought a sprawling 4-bedroom house, pulled Marcus aside. He gestured to Marcus's worn-out sneakers. "Look, man, I know things are tight for you right now. I have a buddy who can get you an interview at my firm. It pays 10 grand more. You can't keep living like a college student forever." Marcus looked at Ryan. He knew Ryan was deeply stressed about his mortgage, his country club fees, and his wife's leased SUV. Ryan was earning $150,000 a year, but his net worth was practically negative. He was one layoff away from losing everything. Marcus smiled, patted Ryan on the shoulder, and said, "Thanks, man. I appreciate you looking out for me, but I'm doing okay." He didn't mention that his investment portfolio had grown large enough to cover a meaningful part of his baseline life, giving him more than enough runway to leave his job. While Ryan was locked into a 20-year career sentence to pay for his lifestyle, Marcus was irreversibly free. The secret wasn't a lucky stock pick. It was the realization that true wealth is not determined by how much you spend, but by how much control you have over your time. By choosing control over status, Marcus had quietly stepped off the treadmill entirely. A month after his 34th birthday, Marcus handed in his resignation. He didn't make a big announcement or post a boastful update. The next morning, while his former coworkers were battling rush-hour traffic, Marcus sat on a park bench with a simple cup of coffee, watching the autumn leaves drift to the ground. Back at that expensive steakhouse, his friends had looked at his faded car and worn sneakers, pitying him as the poor friend. They couldn't see that while they were swiping heavy metal cards to buy the illusion of wealth. Marcus had quietly bought the only asset that actually mattered: his time. The greatest luxury in the world isn't a luxury car or a massive mansion. It is the ability to wake up every morning and ask yourself, what do I want to do today? What is one thing you've bought in the past just to look successful? Let me know in the comments. This video is for educational purposes only and is not financial advice. Outcomes vary based on your situation.